Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about structural balance, the missing link in your training program. Now, this is the biggest mistake that I see people make in their careers as coaches and also in their time training. We always, as humans, will tend to do what it is we enjoy doing. And that therefore means people will tend to do the movements they enjoy, the training programs they enjoy, because, well, fundamentally you want to enjoy what you're doing. However, there can then come a frustration in life at a lack of progress, whether it be a lack of strength gains, whether it be a lack of performance gains, whether it be a lack of carryover into functional life, whether it just be a lack of change in your body composition. And the reality is, for a lot of people, the missing link is a lack of structural balance. Now, what is structural balance? Structural balance is understanding that there are relative norms within the physiological aspects of the body that should be or could be adhered to in order to achieve optimal performance. In that there's an optimal ratio between push and pull strength that shows there is health within a joint. There is an optimum ratio between hamstring and quad strength that shows optimum function for knee stability. And that is the point of structural balance within your training. It's understanding how to assess where your weak links are. And number two, understanding how to address your weak links. A good training program and a good coach is continually assessing your client, or assessing the progress you're making, or assessing the movements you're doing, to establish where are your current weak links that's holding you back. Now, one great example is people will struggle to do pull-ups. People will struggle to do chin-ups, especially women. And one of the main reasons why people struggle to do such movements is because of grip, an absolute lack of grip strength. Now, neurologically, if your hands are unable to squeeze at a certain force and your grip strength is weak, that weak signal from your brain will transcend up to the other muscles and limit the amount of force production you can output in order to protect itself. Kind of like, very simple analogy, a car trying to pull a certain load. It doesn't matter how many superchargers or turbos you put in there, if the initial torque isn't strong enough, it doesn't matter, the car just will not get moving, even if you have the torque and the power output available at higher RPMs. And it's kind of the same thing in your body. Where there is a weak link, that is naturally going to be a block to your body's ability to increase its output, because your brain is cleverer than your ego, and your brain will limit the amount of force your body can produce. So a great real life example in the gym is how people can be leg pressing 300, 400 kilos, yet when they get under a barbell, they collapse at 150. And the confusion comes in. Why is it I can do more on a leg press, on a hack squat? They look the same, it's the same knee flexion movement, but why is it I cannot do the same load? It's exactly because of that. It's to do with structural balance or missing links within the training structure that is limiting the progress you can make. So there are so many great assessments that can be done, such as a CLAT test, such as a biacromial bench press compared to rotator cuffs, that can help you establish strengths. There's the McGill back protocols that help you establish strong lower back. And all of these are great tests that can help you assess your clients and or assess yourself to establish where your weak links are. But for the rest of this video, I'm just going to very briefly talk about knee, shoulder, core and grip, and how those weak links can attribute to someone's instability in their body and therefore limit their progress in the gym and limit their progress in real life. Now, a great one with the knee that people overlook is the importance of hamstring strength in preventing knee injuries. People rightfully get so focused on the quad and VMO which is the correct muscle, as part of knee stability. It helps prevent knees buckling in. But however, one thing people forget is the hamstrings are an essential part of the knee movements. It kind of acts like the brakes. It absorbs the impact of knee flexion, running, walking, sudden rebounding, and a squat-based movement. And if the hamstrings are weak, the knee is then more prone to certain injuries. And doing a clap test, which is just hopping off, landing on your leg and seeing how you land, will help determine weaknesses in your knee, whether it be your hamstring, whether it be your VMO, whether it be your QL. So when you're looking at all of your training for your knee area, whether that be your quad, whether that be your hamstring, you need to be genuine in your approach and analysis of where your bias is. Are you heavily focused on your quads? Do you add in enough VMO? Do you add in enough rec fem? Do you actually do enough hamstring, whether it be an extension or flexion? Because all of these imbalances in your training program will fundamentally create some form of structural balance within the kinetic chain of your body. It's why variety in your training program is essential to ensure you are covering off all of the variety of muscle groups in the various different functions they have in your body. So hamstrings are not just glute bridges, they are not just Romanian deadlifts or deadlifts. You've got hamstring movement in knee flexion, bending your knee. You've got it in your leg going back. Your hamstring works in so many ways. It also works in eccentric movements. And they're all important for you to make sure you are loading correctly. Knowing how to correctly activate VMO, which works in the first 30%, first 30 degrees of knee flexion, and also plus or minus 30 degrees around 90 degrees, or parallel of knee flexion. The key areas where you'll see the knees buckle in. And knowing how to train the VMO to such things as heel elevated setup, heel elevated split squats are essential to add into your training program to ensure you are rounding off your physique, your performance and your abilities correctly, and therefore reducing your chance of injury. When it comes to all lower body movements, understanding how to strengthen the knee is essential. And it's one of the things that I have always achieved as a coach to help people achieve things like double body weight back squats, because I have taught them and engaged their weak links, their structural balance, to continually violate what's weak, which allows what's strong to simply get stronger. Now, when we move down to the shoulder, this is a much more complicated joint with which structural balance is even more essential. Because there's so many things that can go wrong in this joint. Our shoulder can do amazing things. When you compare it to a knee joint, this can really do a lot more. But because it can do a lot more, there is a lot more that can go wrong with it. And knowing how to balance the arms is essential, because you've got imbalances between your short head bicep, long head bicep, and that heavily can affect internal rotation of your shoulder. You've also got imbalance between short head, long head triceps, and that can affect imbalances in your elbow. You've then got your rotator cuffs, your lower traps, got your rhomboids, your subscapularis. All of these are little muscles that can have a huge cause and effect if they are not imbalanced or not trained correctly. And that's why knowing how to assess a shoulder, which in my opinion the easiest way is through strength ratios, establish a biacromial bench press technical maximum, aka how heavy can it be lifted with perfect technique, and from there establishing ratios between pulling strength, whether it be bicep chin up depending on how strong they are, and then rotator cuff lower trap based movements to help you establish, is it a stability issue or is it a muscular power output issue? But when it comes to addressing your own training program or a training program of a client, understanding the complexities of a shoulder movement and therefore ensuring there is enough variety in the program. Bench press, shoulder press is not enough. You've got to be putting in a lot of movements that include scapular and thoracic movements across various angles of elbow flexion and extension to ensure you are getting a well-rounded shoulder joint, which will then allow for things like the compound lifts to increase, such as pull-ups, bench press, and all the fun stuff people like to do. When it comes to the shoulder, for ideal structural balance, this is where machines are not optimum. Because of the complexity of the joint and how much it can do, being on a fixed machine like a chest press is great if you're bodybuilding. But it's not great for function, it's not great for optimum. It's great for aesthetics. But in the name of achieving optimum, whenever you're using your shoulders, you always, as much as possible, want to be in some form of free weight scenario, whether it be a barbell or a dumbbell or a kettlebell. Because in those, you've got much more stability required, and therefore you're going to create a much more balanced joint. And by creating a much more balanced joint, you're going to have a better output in everything you're trying to do and achieve. It doesn't mean you just do weird stuff juggling kettlebells or wobble bands and wobble boards. It's about just understanding you need that variety in there to ensure you are targeting all of the different muscles that are included within a shoulder. Core. Understanding core strength. This is one of those ones where for most people, it's a weak lower back. So many people are so scared of flexion and extension in the spine, they never actually train it. But your vertebral discs are meant to bend. You're meant to be able to crunch and come up. So therefore, when it comes to core and understanding structural balance, yes, you've got to test your imbalance between your left-right QLs. Yes, you've got to test your isometric strength of your lower back compared to your abs. You should be able to hold your abs in a half sit-up position, arched up, for 90 seconds compared to your back being on a GHD for 3 minutes. Those are optimum core strengths for isometric strength. But the foundation is, in my opinion, you can never have a strong enough lower back. There's always more strength for improvement to work and strengthen the spinal erectors. So things like Jefferson curls, extensions, and all the varieties that you can come up with in extension, whether it be from curling to straight back to hip extension to rotations. You need to do them all if we want to have a healthy core. And last one I'll briefly talk about is grip. Now, grip strength is actually a really good one. On old strength and conditioning, it was a very simple test to test if someone's central nervous system was fatigued. Having a grip dynamometer, testing it every day shows you your central nervous system fatigue. This is the old way coaches would test how tired their athletes was prior to things like HRV tracking. So grip strength is paramount to everything in your body. It tells us a lot. But foundationally, the stronger your grip is, the better everything else up the chain is. Because of this wonderful thing called myofascia, other muscles can compensate for what is weak. So knowing how to train your grip and make it strong is important. And a really simple rule for getting strong grip, which is going to give you healthy wrist, healthy forearm, healthy elbows, and therefore a healthy shoulder, is don't use straps. The biggest mistake people make, unless they're a bodybuilder, is using straps. As a normal trainee, you need to use lifting straps unless you're doing some form of snatch grip deadlift or you are already deadlifting close to double body weight. If you're not lifting big weights without straps, do not use straps. If you cannot do chin-ups, pull-ups in life, do not use straps. They are just inhibiting your body's ability to make everything else stronger. Because you are turning off the first port of call that depicts how muscles will fire up according to your brain. Now, powerlifters are great at knowing how to apply pressure to a bar, and they know the pressure in the hands and the torque and signals you create with your palm will change how your lats, pecs and triceps will fire up. And it's exactly the same thing from a gymnastics or calisthenics point of view. The way you pull, the way you hold will change how muscles fire up. So if you're continually using lifting straps, you're never giving your brain the correct signals in order to learn how to fire up and strengthen correctly the whole kinetic chain from hand to shoulder to abs to feet. So the biggest mistake people make with grip is using straps. Don't do it. Outside of that, there are so many other fun tools you can do, from fat grip training to wrist movements, which are all great to add. But for the majority of people I see, there's an overuse of lifting straps. In my gym and in my training, no one uses lifting straps until the barbell gets so heavy it's close to double body weight on a deadlift. Outside of that, just get stronger hands. So it's an important thing for you to assess, be real with, and be honest with. What is the structural balance like in your training? Do you have enough variety? If you're unsure, work with a coach who knows how to assess athletic performance, and they will help you discern and understand where the missing links are in your training program. If you wanted, you can please reach out to me, book in, and I will do a full structural balance assessment on you, where I will highlight the weak links in your body and in your training program and give you guidance and direction as to what you need to do in order to achieve the best performance that you are looking to achieve. If you have any questions, drop it in your comments. I look forward to answering them.